Hello, listeners. This is Greg Berger. I play the role of Kraven the Hunter, who wants to mount Spider-Man on the wall as my trophy. And also the role of Quentin Beck, Mysterio, master of special effects and treachery. Oh, now I'm just Greg Berger again, reminding you that you are listening to Spider-Man, the Animated Series podcast. Enjoy.
Hello webheads and welcome to another edition of Spider-Man the Animated Series podcast. We are back and I'm your host Alex Robson, and with me as always is my co-host, Marvel artist, my brother and Todd McFarlane's best friend. Say hello Will Robson.
Hello everybody.
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm right, I'm just getting over a lovely cold. As we discussed on the last episode, my fiance got a cold and guess what? I got it!
Have you made it to the other side?
I'm pretty much better now, but now I'm in that aftermath of gobbing up crap and, being disgusting and snorting like I'm doing lines of blow like it's 1985, but sadly with no blow involved, just snot. So, yeah, I'm getting better.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're on the mend, especially because there was a recent announcement that you finally got to make, wasn't there?
Well, I didn't make it.
That's true.
A little guy called T to the O to the DD McFarlane Pants made it.
So let's talk about that, because obviously, as we've recorded in previous episodes, Todd McFarlane is a big inspiration and means a lot to you as an artist, doesn't he?
Of course.
So why don't you walk through just quickly? I'm sure once we do your interview of Phase 3 of your journey to Marvel, or Part 3, should I say?
Phase 3.
Phase 3, yeah.
Ain't a damn movie, buddy.
Once we do the Part 3, we'll go into it in detail. But just let's walk through, because you finally got to announce it. So just tell us, or tell the listeners, what that was about.
So it was Image Expo recently, and McFarlane was there announcing all the books that he's coming out with. And he's coming out with a Witchblade crossover, which is pretty cool. A Sam and Twitch comic, which is also cool, which I don't know if it ties into the Kevin Smith TV show or not. And then his other book he announced was a little book called Spawn Kills Everyone #2, with artist me. And I'm the damn artist working with Todd McFarlane.
I know. Did you celebrate with a nice strong drink when he announced it?
I celebrated with a gob up of phlegm. And an early night's sleep.
He announced it pretty late, though, didn't he? For us, at least.
He did. I actually was on the sofa because I was coughing up a lung and I didn't want to wake my fiancée up. And I was just about to go to bed, and then it was announced. I was like, "Oh my god!" And I was up for like the next 2 hours, like retweeting it and talking to people about it and stuff. So that was fun.
Well, you kept it under wraps for how long now?
Oh my god! I've had it on my plate for nearly a year.
Jeez.
Like,
yeah,
since we've a year ago we decided let's do a book together, and now it's finally been announced. So.
Yeah, so we'll talk about how you came across Todd McFarlane and how you started talking to him, like I said, in Part 3. But I will ask though, what was it like hearing Todd McFarlane, your essentially your idol, say your name out loud in front of an audience and also to the world on social media?
It was insane. Like, I've spoken to him on the phone before, and that was insane. I mean, on the phone, he was like, "Is this the famous, world-famous Will Robson?" And I was like, bleh. And just melted into a puddle.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm very happy for you, whether I was your brother or not. It's an amazing story to go from a few years ago. You were obviously, as you said, couch hopping, and now you're working with Todd McFarlane, which is pretty fucking dope.
I have no one to blame but myself.
Exactly, it's all your fault.
Damn right.
All right, well, we look forward to that. When does Spawn Kills Everyone issue 1 come out?
I have no idea. I'll have all 4 issues done by August. I assume that he'll release them after they're all done, because that's what Image likes to do. That's the smart thing to do. So we will see. It's only 4 issues, so it's going to be a little trade paperback. But I will say now that some of the covers and some pages that I've penciled will be inked by Todd McFarlane.
Very cool. Well, I look forward to that.
And I will print those out, and I will put them in my office, and I will wank furiously at them for many years to come.
Everyone will come in and be like, what's that picture? It looks like some sort of white paint smear. And you're like, it was Todd McFarlane's work, but I've done some stuff to it.
Oh, dear.
Okay, and then also a Ninja Turtles cover that you recently did a YouTube video on is going to be coming out soon as well, isn't it?
That will be coming out May 26th, I believe, issue 82. Mine is variant cover B, I believe, and variant cover A is by Kevin freaking Eastman, the creator of, or co-creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that's super awesome. Been a dream to work on that. As anybody that's listened into my interviews, like, I've always wanted to work on Turtles. I've tried to work on Turtles, and all it takes is to work for bigger companies for them to be like, yeah, that's fine, you can do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I look forward to seeing that cover on the shelves. And if anybody wants to see what that cover looks like before it comes out, they can always visit your YouTube channel, can't they, to see that?
Yeah, and if you want to see any of my social media, you go search Robson Inc., INK, in Google, and I'll be everywhere.
Which reminds me, if you enjoy this podcast, please be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to us on iTunes, as it helps us wall crawl up the charts and attract more listeners. You can also find us on SoundCloud if you're not an iTunes user. Also be sure to visit us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube by keyword searching STAS Podcasts. That's Spider-Man the Animated Series Podcast, where you can see images or clips from recent episodes, chat about the show, as well as leaving any comments or suggestions about the podcast. And if you are not a fan of social media, you can also email us at staspodcast@gmail.com. Right, so last time we chatted, which was about 2 weeks ago now, we had to take a little break. There was people messaging me on Twitter, some fans of the show, saying, was it the snow, or did you get held up?
Yeah, when it snows in England, it's just the world ends. People run around like mad. I went into Tesco, and there was literally walls bare, like as if the world was ending. Like, people were buying food off the shelves just in case we were going to be snowed in for months?
I know, it's ridiculous, because I know you lived in Vermont and I lived in Maine, which are two of the coldest fucking states in all of America.
Yeah.
And we saw snow that was double our height on a monthly basis.
And I lived in Vermont. I used to have to wake up and dig my car out, and by the time I was done and turned around, there was more snow to dig out.
Well, Robson crawled through a river of snow to get to work.
I did.
Yeah, so to see that on this end, where it was maybe like 2 inches, people were shitting their pants.
It was nice to see, though. I mean, it's nostalgic for me in a way where it does remind me of Vermont and having my time in the States. I do like a bit of snow. I love that feeling of the coldness in the air, and it also has a really fresh smell. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like when it's proper snowing and you just like breathe in, it smells so lovely.
Yeah, I suppose it's that like, as you said, that fresh, cold air. It's very cold, but there's nothing you can smell besides, I suppose, just frozen water. I can't think of anything else to describe besides that. So yeah, it smells very fresh. But I bring that up because anyone that asked, no, it wasn't the snow that held us up. The main few things that happened, it was kind of a crazy week. I recently got a new job, so I'm in right now taking a little time off before I start my new job. And so that happened, along with my cat, who is legitimately a superhero, was on death's doorstep. Unfortunately, he had a major kidney problem, and my wife and I were really very upset because we love him dearly and we've had him for years. And against all odds, literally against all odds, the vet was telling us, basically, you need to put him down. Yeah. He is now sitting right behind me and made a miraculous recovery. We still got to monitor him, but we are hopeful, and he seems to be doing really well and back to his old self. So I'm very happy. So yeah, I had to take some time off, obviously, because it was a bit of a crazy time in my life, but we're back now, so we're okay. But I figured I'd just let people know that's why we had to take a bit of time off. I mean,
Super Mew. Yeah,
you do what you have to do for your animals, and I love this little Mr. Cat dearly. So last episode, I thought silly of me that Madam Web was created for the show of Spider-Man the Animated Series, and I was wrong.
It's all right. It's always good to correct yourself.
It is, yes. So Madam Web was created by Denny O'Neil, which obviously has done a lot for comic books, including creating Ra's or Ra's al Ghul, however you say it. And
Danny O'Neil, right?
No, Denny O'Neil is how he likes to be called.
Oh, really? Denny, like the restaurant Denny's?
Yep, that's how it's spelled as well. Yep, so it's Denny.
I didn't know that.
It's Denny O'Neil and John Romita Jr. created.
John Romita Jr. John Romita Jr. Johnny Romita. He is a great artist.
So anybody that's ever seen the film Aristocats, the Disney movie, which is such a random pull, I know, that song was obviously Thomas O'Malley, but my brother has adapted it for John Romita Jr.
I've been singing that for years now. Anytime someone mentions John Romita Jr., I just instantly go, John Romita Jr. Johnny Romita.
Oh dear.
He left Marvel for DC, for more money.
So, yeah, that was a correction I wanted to make with a nice little song to go with it.
Did you know John Romita Jr. was in... I saw him. He was in the end credits of Black Panther as a special thank you.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, because he did a good... or like a story for Black Panther. He did a bunch of work on it.
Well, that actually leads me into... You finally saw Black Panther, didn't you?
I did, and I didn't really like it.
I know, I can't... Okay, so walk me through this, because I really loved Black Panther, and it's almost... It's not refreshing, but I'm more intrigued to talk to you about it. Let's hear it from you first. Why did you not like this film?
Okay, well, it's not like I didn't like it. The first act was amazing. It was so immersive in the world of Wakanda. And I know Black Panther pretty well, like the whole background of the character and origins and all this stuff. And a lot of it I actually learned from Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon. So I was properly in. I went with my fiancée as well, who's not a fan of superhero stuff, and she was really liking it as well. Properly into the movie, having a blast. Oh my god, that fight scene in the is it South Korea they're in?
Yes, South Korea.
Yeah, that fight scene in that place that looks exactly like the place from Spectre, that club.
Oh yeah, no, you mean Skyfall, the casino.
Skyfall, yes.
Yes.
Fighting in there, and then that whole car chase, and the music, all the music's brilliant, and everything's brilliant. I loved how I had no idea they were going to include the Battle for the Crown stuff, which is actually in Black Panther. I mean, they had it over a waterfall, which is dramatic, which they used for the second act, which was stupid. But it was all great, and I was really into it. I loved Claw. I thought he was a great villain. I liked the side villain of Michael B. Jordan. I thought he was interesting. And then suddenly, he's killed. He's killed. He's just shot.
Claw is?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
In a very undramatic way. And this whole movie is flowing so great, and then it's just suddenly put to a pause. And then a whole other movie starts where I'm now the bad guy. Oh, by the way, this is the background of this character. And now I'm here. And now basically they cut the first 40 minutes. It stops. And then they have to shovel in a whole 3 acts into the second act. And that fucked up the whole movie for me. And I honestly, I understand Michael B. Jordan's character. I like his character. I just thought his acting was atrocious.
Oh, I so disagree.
He does this weird thing with his nose where he's always smelling a fart or something, and he just pissed me off. I was like, ew, you're gross. Get out of my really nice film. He really, his acting, I was like, oh, that's an actor, and he's doing a bad job at acting. And now my immersiveness in this film is gone because now I just see everyone as actors, if that makes any sense. So he kind of killed it for me. I like the idea of him. Yeah, he beats Black Panther, but I already had a feeling that was going to come because in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, one of the stories they have is Black Panther is fighting with his cousin, and his cousin really wants the throne, and he does battle him once, and he does get the throne from him. And I was like, oh, Michael B. Jordan's going to be his cousin. I was like, yep, there it is. Oh, he's going to win it. So I saw that kind of coming of it. So I was like, oh. And then the whole last act was really bad. You have to admit. What's his name? The Hobbit.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman's character. They're just suddenly you were a pilot, right? In this background story where you were suddenly a pilot. A pilot. Yeah, I was a pirate before in my old life, yeah. No, but they were just like, oh, you're a pilot. Why don't you pilot this ship? And he's like, got it. I have something to do now in the third act. And the fight scene between Michael B. Jordan and the Black Panther was crap compared to the earlier fight scenes. It was so boring. It looked like two action figures being smashed together by a child. And like the moment his sister was like, yes, I found a way to stop the vibranium from working, and they showed like the train tracks. I was like, okay, well that's obviously going to be the way they stop.
Well, of course it is going to come back into later.
It was too obvious, and the ending was really like you just knew what was going to happen. Look, I think the film is amazing for kids. I think it's a very good kids film, and I think he's a super positive role model for kids. I mean, obviously, I'm just a plain white guy, and I know the impact of how good that film is for a culture that's not mine, and I respect the film for that, and how much that film, is a positive. That film has a lot of positive energy to it,
and for women as well, man.
And for women as well. Oh my God, Michonne stole the whole freaking show. She was the best character.
Yeah.
But besides that, like I think the film had a good message, and it was needed in today's climate, definitely. But I just thought it was poorly put together. And also, I think the CGI was some of the worst I've seen in a very long time. I thought I was watching Blade quality, Blade 2, when he's jumping about and suddenly he turns into...
like a plastic, like, claymation figure.
Rubbery.
Yeah.
And, like, one of the scenes that really took me out of it is the scene when they're fighting over the waterfall, and you look up at all the people standing there, and I was like, they all look like... they're in Dr. Zeus or something. Like, there was something really off-putting about them where I was like, that's not real. Like, a lot of the CGI was crap. But, like, the first act was the best first act of any Marvel movie ever made, but the rest of it I thought was crap. But I hated the first Captain America film, and I hope that now that we've developed this character, we can continue to get more immersed in the world of Wakanda. I'm looking forward to a sequel to that film, hopefully handled better, because I really like the character. I like the actors besides Michael B. Jordan. So I just didn't like it.
Well, I mean, that's a shame. I mean, I have to wholeheartedly disagree with you. I was immersed from start to finish. I absolutely adored the film. First of all, it is Marvel's James Bond. And I'm a massive James Bond fan, so when I start to see those, like when he gets the different gadgets with the suit, and even the joke with the sneakers, I love that.
It was a very funny film. There was lots of great jokes.
There was great jokes, but all the gadgets and just how he was like the James Bond for the Marvel Universe. The car chase scene, as you were saying, that was one of the best, if not the best, car chase I've seen. I mean, I suppose since Captain America Winter Soldier and that whole car chase with Nick Fury. And
yeah, it's brilliant. Again, I love
so
the
good.
First act of this film.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I was even seeing the theaters. I was like, wow, this is my favorite Marvel film. Like, I was saying that to myself. And the moment it took that weird step in the second act, I was like, wow, I don't like this film anymore.
Yeah, I mean, with Claw dying, was I expecting that, or did I like that? No, I'll have to be honest. I was surprised, but it's comic books, and I'm sure he's going to end up coming back. But it was a kind of weird...
Are you sure? He looked pretty dead in that body bag.
Mate, if they can do things in Wakanda where they can heal Bucky's mind, and they can
true.
do that and everything, they'll bring Claw back. I don't know why they would, because he's a bad guy.
I don't think they need to now, because there's nothing more really to do with that character, because they set him up in a way where if he came back now, there'd be no impact to it. You'd be like, oh, he's alive. Okay.
Yeah, I suppose. That was a weird turn, but it didn't take me out. I absolutely adore Michael B. Jordan. He is my absolute favourite Marvel villain, 100%. And I know, obviously, you have your different opinion, but I love it because he is that tragic hero. He is the person where you want to support him because he has the best intentions, but he's just gone about it in the wrong way, and that's what's so tragic about that character. But that's what is so adaptable and so admiring to watch.
I will agree with you 100%. He's an amazing villain, an amazing character, but he was portrayed by a really poor acting.
I disagree. I love Michael B. Jordan's choices. I love the way he did it. When he kneels down in front of that sunset and he said, me, just a kid from, I can't remember where it was in LA that he was from, or California, but when he said...
Or New York.
Well, he was told as a kid, he's like, by my dad, I was told...
I thought they lived in, like, Brooklyn or something like that.
No, man, they lived in California.
Okay.
That threw me for a loop, because the way he said, I was told to believe in fairy tales, or just a kid, trying to believe in fairy tales, and now I'm here and everything's true, and it is the most beautiful sunset. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, and I don't nearly do as good a job, but the way he delivered that line was so
the best
powerful.
line is about, like when he's like, oh, do you, I can't heal you, and he's like, well, like, my forefathers who jumped off the slave ships, I'd rather choose death over, I forgot the word he uses.
Servitude, yeah.
Shackles or whatever.
Shackles, yeah.
Very, he's a great character. His lines are amazing. I just couldn't get over his goofy haircut. Like, for a guy that's so serious, like, I can't deal with, like, his little...
Oh, his scene,
little
too.
twiglets.
Well, his scene where he sees his father because he goes to the astral plane. Now, before, I love the way all the Panthers are in the tree in the astral plane, and then obviously
cool.
T'Challa's dad comes down and he's
I will admit, the first
him.
time I went up, I had to wee twice during this film.
Yeah.
Because I went to... And on a side note, everybody, I went to this movie theatre. That was like basically someone's private movie theatre with about 30-odd seats. And the seats push back, they're giant leather seats. You put your feet up. I had wine. Oh, it was, even though I was really under the weather, it was a treat. Like, I'm never seeing any other movie ever again unless it's in that movie theatre. So I was very comfortable. But now I forgot what I was saying, because all I can think about is how nice that movie theatre was.
Well, I was talking about the astral plane and...
Oh, yeah, I had to wee twice because I was drinking wine. So that was the first time he popped the astral plane. I was like, well, I bet I can squeeze out for a wee at this time.
Oh, that was one of the best scenes. Yeah, I mean, it had a different emotional impact on me than it did you, which is fine. And as you said, it's a good
look.
film.
I don't. If you say this is a good film, I don't disagree with you, because I'm not like that. I'm not like, no, this is a bad film and everyone should know it's bad. Like,
yeah.
I can see all the good qualities in that film. Just for me personally, it just didn't hit home, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I don't think it's not the worst film I've ever seen, but it's not the best. And if people enjoy it, I totally get why they enjoy it, and good on them.
Okay, so this leads me to, you just recently also saw another Marvel film, and we won't review it, but you just saw Thor Ragnarok, didn't you?
Yeah, and that to me solidified my feelings towards Black Panther, where I was like, did I like that film, or was I being too hard on it? The moment I saw Thor Ragnarok, it was so fun from beginning to end, and it was basically like the Kung Fury of the Marvel movies.
Right.
And it was just like throwback to 80s nostalgia. The soundtrack was great. The comedy was brilliant. The colors, all the odes to Jack Kirby's artwork, the fun of Hulk in there. I wish he was never in the adverts, because, oh my God, that would have been so impactful if suddenly Hulk just popped up in a film.
I agree.
And again, another film with really strong females. My God, it's the first Marvel movie to have a female villain in it. And it's the first, the first one to have that. And then also, how strong was Valkyrie? Oh my God, she was awesome.
Yeah, she was great.
And the action's great, and all the actors fucking killed it, and I just want to see it again right now. I'm thinking about that film, and I was like, fuck me, that was a fun ride. I need to see that again.
Yeah, and there it is. It's one of those things where that level that they balanced with Thor Ragnarok was, and it's not like one is, so much better than the other, but I understand it depends on your mood. Like, if I'm in the mood for a more emotional, impactful film, I think I would go and lean towards Black Panther, that still has the action and still has the laughs.
I would lean to Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that works as well. But what I love about what Marvel's doing is they're really giving you so much choice, and it reminds me once again and I am a fan. It goes back to the James Bond franchise, because if you're in the more of a mood for a laugh and something that's kind of more upbeat and fun, you go watch a Roger Moore film. If you're in the mood for a more like dark and gritty, then you're going to watch a Daniel Craig. If you want to fucking feel cool and just like, I am untouchable and just I am the man, you watch a Sean Connery film. So I feel like Marvel's doing something very similar with their movies, where they are literally taking all different types of specific genres and they're applying it in the best ways possible, and they're giving you something more than just your average superhero film. So yeah, you can have all your favorites, and we can just discuss that in a second, but I wouldn't you agree that that's what they're doing?
I think they're just killing it in any genre they fancy doing.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, they're picking a genre and going, this is the theme for this film. Now let's just apply all we know and what makes this character, and let's knock it out of the park.
That's how you create longevity. That's how these things will be around for a long time if you constantly change the formula. Because everyone's sick to death of the old superhero formula. That it's just what they're doing now is so much better, and it helps that you're not introducing new characters. Some of these have been established in other films, so you do get a bit less of like, I have these powers now. Oh no, this villain has his powers now. I must defeat this villain. Good God, there's a sky beam. Movie's over.
Yeah,
but that's I think DC's doing that a bit, but the that sort of is dying out, and people like even with like stuff like Logan, where they're like, oh, we're going to make a western, and you're like, okay, sweet. Oh, it has superheroes in it. Okay, cool. Like that's what they're doing now. They're just taking genres but chucking these characters into it, and that's like I said, that's how you create longevity.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, what would you say currently to wrap up this whole Marvel conversation about the films? What are your top 5 MCU films?
Well, my number 1 is Guardians of the Galaxy because I had such a great time seeing that in theaters. It reminded me of watching A New Hope for the first time. And it was extremely funny, and it was such an unexpected film where I didn't know anything really about the characters, and I fell in love with them. And that will probably forever be my favorite Marvel film. And then after that, I would say Winter Soldier, because that was finally the Captain America movie I wanted to see. That spy, like the
thriller.
The thriller, just the government crime sort of film. It was just... Oh my God, that film is so good. Like, it's so rewatchable as well. And then I would say Civil War, because that's probably the closest thing you'll get to having... I'm sure Infinity War, hopefully, will blow it out of the water. But that's your... Here's all my action figures in one place. Let's have a go with all of them. And really well executed as well. Even though in that film, you can tell Spider-Man is pigeonholed or shoved into that film. Works so well, I'm not mad about it.
Yep.
And then after that, I would say Thor Ragnarok, because, my God, that film was just so much fun. And the Thor Ragnarok, to me, was the Guardians of the Galaxy sequel I wanted. And I just got it through a different Marvel film.
I think that's 4, isn't it? You said Guardians, then you said Winter Soldier, then you said Civil War, then you said Thor Ragnarok, right?
Yeah, well, then my last one I would say is the original Iron Man film, because it's a classic.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, good picks, man. I mean, I don't fault you for any of those. They're really good.
Spider-Man... Oh, I don't know. Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah. Well, let me say mine. So if I had to say mine in order, I would say Civil War for the reasons you listed, and that's why it's number 1. It's so well balanced, so well written, so well paced. Every single character gets their lines, gets their time in the spotlight, but it's still all about Captain America and Bucky's relationship. Yet it balances everything so well. So I love that film to death. It's so rewatchable. I've seen it probably 6 or 7 times, and I can watch it over and over again. It's so good. Second one would be Thor Ragnarok. That for all the
really
reasons,
that's your number 2.
That's my number 2. I adore that film because it is such a fun ride. It is so original. It brings the Hulk and it brings Thor as characters where I now go, I love these guys so much. Not that I didn't love Thor and the Hulk before, but they were quite two-dimensional.
Yeah, I think they've gone from supporting actors to leading.
Exactly, and that's this film. And as you said, listening for reasons like Valkyrie, she's amazing. I love the message that they send about it's not Asgard that makes Asgard, it's the people of Asgard that is Asgard, and they do that really well.
The film secretly had a lot of heart to it in lots of places.
Yeah, and then also bringing in Ragnarok as the reason to destroy Hela, that was very cleverly done, and
didn't see that coming.
I mean, all the references, the 80s video game feel, it felt like I was playing a Sega game at one point.
Like Streets of Rage.
Jeff Goldblum is just unbelievably brilliant.
Oh my God, he just eats up the whole scenery.
Yeah,
and I love his partner, the New Zealand woman.
Yes.
Oh my God, she was so funny. Like with the first payment as well.
Yeah, with the melting
toast.
stick.
Why would you say toast?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, all of those reasons, and then also the director, and he also played that part of I can't remember the rock creature's name, but his every single line was gold. Every single line.
Hey man. gonna go hop on this spaceship. Want to come?
So yeah, those are all the reasons why I adore that film, and it's just the most rewatchable. That's why I'm listing these. Number 3 is Black Panther. I love Ryan Coogler. I love Ryan Coogler's directing. I loved Creed. I think Creed is one of my favorite films, and is really up there because it's so good from start to finish. And I'm not even a guy that comes from watching the Rocky films as a background. It's a really good film. And the score, I can't remember the composer's name, which is a shame because I listened to the Creed score a lot at the gym. But the same composer did Black Panther, and that score was incredible. And yeah, the story, we've talked about Black Panther, so there's no point in me repeating myself. But it's up there. It's my 3rd favourite. 4th, I would say 4th would have to be Winter Soldier.
It's a great film.
Yeah.
My number 2.
Spy thriller, everything you listed, so there's no point in repeating it. And 5th would have to be Spider-Man Homecoming.
Good choices. I would honorable mention Doctor Strange just because I had a really great time in the movie theater watching that.
Absolutely. I mean, they're all. I mean, I haven't really watched a Marvel film besides, like Thor 2 and maybe Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because I didn't like that film very much. Where I've really just gone, it was all right, but I didn't walk out going, that was horrible. Marvel's really lost it. I've never ever said that. But yeah, if I had to.
Well, I did I've never seen Thor 2 because I fell asleep. Twice while trying to watch it, 2 separate occasions. I've never seen it because I fell asleep twice. But I hated Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because I think it's because I had such high expectations because the first one is my favorite film that I thought it was really bad that I really hated it. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, well, I didn't hate it as much, but I can understand why you didn't like it at all and fell asleep because it's not very good. So that leads me into, because obviously we're here for Spider-Man the Animated Series. That's why we do the podcast. And we're going to review Doctor Octopus, Armed and Dangerous, which is episode 4 of Spider-Man the Animated Series. But before we do, I have a quick question for you. Now, I was thinking, because it's very interesting, out of all the episodes we've reviewed so far, not that there's many, we're only on episode 4, this is the first time that a supervillain, a Spidey's Rogues Gallery villain, has appeared. And that's quite interesting for episode 4. I mean, obviously you've got the Lizard, which is I suppose he's the first one that appears. Yes, he is. Okay, he is a supervillain, but
we've had Kingpin.
No, but I'm talking about a costumed villain. Right? Like, the Lizard's not a costume villain. He just turns into Lizard. Kingpin's not a costume villain. I'm talking about, one that dresses up and does bad and either has a secret identity or has a past before he then ends up being this costumed evil genius or evil whatever they may be. So that's the first time that's happened. And I found that interesting as just a little side fact. And then also, if you were to cast Doc Ock in the Spider-Man series now, so obviously the ongoing Spider-Man series with Tom Holland, who would you cast?
For Doctor Octopus? I mean, my first thought goes to Christoph Waltz, but I'm like, no, I don't want him to be Doctor Octopus. He'd be way better Joker or someone far better than that. I only think of him because he's German.
Yeah, but, I don't think Christoph Waltz would do a good job as Doc Ock. I don't think he would.
Danny DeVito. Hey, Parker.
I don't mind. I don't mind.
This is Frank from It's Always Sunny. Parker, I need to use the can.
I don't mind that pick, and he was part of my pick as well, because I think he would, because he is this little grotesque person.
I'm joking. It was a joke choice.
Oh, I thought Danny DeVito would do a pretty good job, if I'm honest. I thought he would look great with the arms and the tentacles, because the Doctor Octopus has been betrayed. But I
think he'd do an okay Doctor Octopus. Like, you're like, that was good.
All right, well, do you know who my pick is, though?
Who?
So, my pick is Jesse Plemons.
Who the fuck is Jesse Plemons?
Fat Todd.
Really?
So Jesse Plemons, for all that don't know, is from Fargo Season 2. He is from Breaking Bad, more specifically. He has been, let's look else. I've got him up on IMDb right now. He's been in
Black Mirror. One of the best episodes of Black Mirror.
Yep, the Star Trek episode of Black Mirror. He's been in so many good films. I think he would make a fantastic Doctor Octopus. I can see him. There's even you can see him here. You see him there with the glasses. I can just see him as Doctor Octopus. I really do. I can see him, and he looks
like Kirk Connors to me, but that's fine.
Nah, he looks like a Doc Ock. I can see him as Otto Octavius. I can see him doing a German accent as well. I think he would be a fantastic Doctor Octopus. So he's my pick. Anybody out there listening that thinks they've got a really cool idea and who Doctor Octopus can be, please message us on Twitter or Facebook or the email if you don't have those. I'd be interested to hear who you think would play a really good Doc Ock.
I'm gonna keep my eye out of who I could see playing that character.
Okay, cool.
Because you didn't prep me. I had no prep time to.
Yeah, well, that's the style right now. That's how I'm rolling with it. And every time, well, here we go. Every time we review an episode where a Spidey supervillain comes into play now, and is not cast in the MCU yet, I'm going to ask you, who do you think?
Well, I like that. I like that game. I like that game a lot.
Okay, so I won't have a theme tune for it. But yeah, we'll do that next time, okay? Because after we review this episode, and the next episode we have to review is the Mysterio. So we can...
Mysterio. Well, we know who did that.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, you can't beat it, but still, Greg Berger's voice is just, he's totally Mysterio. But if we had to do a Mysterio on screen, I suppose you could still do Greg's voice because it's in a fishbowl, isn't it? But yeah, if we had to cast someone, who would you cast? But that's for the next episode. All right, let's kick off, shall we? Do you want to review this episode?
No, I'm done. I'm leaving. I want to drink some beers, so goodbye.
So, episode 4, Doctor Octopus, Armed and Dangerous, February 18th, 1995 is when this episode came out. And we've got Christopher...
Before my fiancé was born.
That's so gross. So we've got Christopher Daniel Barnes as Spider-Man Peter Parker, Ed Asner as J. Jonah Jameson, Jennifer Hale as Felicia Hardy, Rodney Salisbury as Robbie Robertson, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Doctor Octopus, Otto Octavius, who sadly passed away in May of 2014 at age 95. So He lived a long life. Now, honourable mentions for Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. We all know him, as I've told you before in a previous episode, and you'll probably hear it now. He is Alfred in Batman the Animated Series. And
also, I always forget he's Alfred. But Alfred is in the beginning of this episode.
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
Yes,
he is. So we'll chat about that when we review the episode. But Alfred answers the door at one point.
Yes. Hello,
yeah. Which was brilliant. But yes, Alfred, Batman the Animated Series, and all the spin-off films that they did from that show. He was also Justin Hammer / Firepower in Iron Man the Animated Series in the 90s as well. So that was a pretty cool fact for there. He was King Arthur in Biker Mice from Mars, which is a show I loved as a kid. He had numerous roles in Turbocharged Thunderbirds. He was also King Arthur again in 65 episodes of a cartoon called The Legend of Prince Valiant that ran in the 90s. He was Wilson in the Hot Shots film that came out. I think that was in the 80s.
Oh my God, I haven't seen that film in ages.
Yeah, so you have to listen out for Alfred in that one. He was Don Alejandro de la Vega in the live-action Zorro show in the 90s, which was then portrayed later on by Anthony Hopkins in the film, the same character. He was Stuart Bailey in 151 episodes of a show called 77 Sunset Strip in the late 50s, and he has a career that goes all the way back to 1946. So, as we know, I mean, besides being Alfred, which we absolutely love and know him as Alfred, and Doctor Octopus, rightfully so, he had one hell of a career and lived a hell of a life by the looks of it.
I can't hear Alfred and Doctor Octopus as being the same person. They're both very unique.
Yeah, he does a very good job, doesn't he?
I love his Doctor Octopus.
Yeah, I do too. I think he really nails Doc Ock, and he sounds so menacing, but he also sounds so scientific and intelligent at the same time.
When did Dexter's Laboratory come out? Because I feel like they watched this cartoon And because Doctor Octopus is always like, for science. And I'm like, that's freaking Dexter's Lab.
That's true. Yeah, what was it? Like early 2000s, wasn't it? Was Dexter's Lab?
No, I think it was in the 90s.
No, you're right. It is. Yeah, it was because I remember we were in Spain and that was like late 90s. Maybe 98 it came out, 97, something like that.
I wonder if I'd have to look that up, what his... Because to me, I just see that's like, especially with like the way he looks and everything, I can definitely see in the way he acts. And like, that is like a young Dr. Otto Octavius.
Yeah, Dexter is. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's cool. And then we've got Rue McClanahan as Anastasia Hardy. She passed away in June 2010 at the age of 76. So not too old, but still not a bad life. And she was only in this one episode as this character, so that means that later when Felicia's mum comes back, it's obviously portrayed by somebody else. Besides that, her honourable mentions are a biology teacher in Starship Troopers, Ellen Carruthers in the Out to Sea movie. Now, that Out to Sea movie featured the two guys from Grumpy Old Men, and I remember watching this film as a kid, where it was two guys trying to scam there's basically trying to scan old women on a boat to get rich quick. I don't know if you ever watched it with me as a kid, but it was a movie called Out to Sea. She was Rev in a movie called Nonsense, which was all about nuns, so it's Nonsense with N-U-N. So she was the Reverend Mother in a movie called Nonsense.
Who puts nun puns in titles of things? My word.
And she has a career that goes all the way back to 1961. This episode was also written by John Semper Jr. and Brooks Wachtel, directed by Bob Richardson, teleplay by Cynthia Harrison, and featuring characters created by Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, John Romita Jr., Marv Wolfman, and Keith Pollard. It also had music scored by Shuki Levy, Udi Harpez, and Haim Sabam.
And speaking of Stan Lee, I hope he's getting better because he has terrible pneumonia right now. And I watched a video with him and I was like, my God, he's not well.
Does he really? Oh, I didn't even know that.
Oh, there's a really sad video where he's like, hey there, Spider fans, going through pneumonia. And like at the end, he's like, thank you for everybody and all your, like he was giving like his last, like it seemed like it was his last video ever.
Oh no.
He was like, I love the characters, like, and how the world loves them. And like, it was really sad. I was like, don't die, Stanley.
Oh, fuck. I can't face that right now. I can never face that.
I think he's going to die this. Spoilers.
Oh, my
2018
God.
spoilers.
We've got to have him. But what about Gilbert Lee? We've got to have him on the show. You're going to have to do your best Stan Lee.
Well, Gilbert Lee is immortal.
Yeah, like after Stan Lee passes, we can be like, but we still got Stan on the show, and you're just going to have to do your best impression.
I'm the ghost of Stan Lee. Wow.
And I told Jack, go fuck yourself, Kirby.
Go fuck yourself, you goddamn King Jack, goddamn it.
It was so funny because I finally finished the animated series rather recently, and the last episode is where Spider-Man goes to an alternate dimension and meets Stan Lee, which I believe is our Earth. Yeah. And Stan Lee is on the phone.
Doesn't he meet Ditko as well?
No, he just meets Stan. And as Spider-Man comes into Stanley's office and he's crawling along the ceiling, Stan is on the phone and he's like, and that's when I told Jack we should have his skin turn green. And it was just so funny because we always joke about how he always like refers to how he told Jack Kirby this and Jack Kirby that, and he did it in the damn show as well.
And that's what I told Jack. I'm taking all your ideas and all the credit for it.
More and more, it just sounds like the parrot from Aladdin. It really does.
That's what I'm going for.
I know. It's just... now I want him to, like, talk to Jafar about how he created Spider-Man. So I told Jafar, I'm making Spider-Man. Jafar.
I told Jafar.
All right, let's get into this episode. So
I'm going to eat Jaffa cakes.
So you weren't the biggest fan of this episode, were you?
It was all right. It was pretty basic.
Yeah, it was, as I said to you before we started recording, it was basically your standard villain plot. Someone's kidnapped, the villain's got to come save the day, the villain has a plan to destroy something or create something and doesn't know he's got a horrible device or a bomb. So it was kind of standard, but I do enjoy seeing Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.'s Doc Ock and the way he does it in this. Really
I thought his introduction as a character wasn't that interesting. I didn't feel like, usually all of Spider-Man's villains are mostly sympathetic. Dr. Octopus, I was like, well, you deserve what happened to you.
That's true, yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. So we see the scene that opens this episode is a train rolling down the tracks, and Spider-Man is on top of it catching a quick ride. He narrates that he's finally got a date with Felicia Hardy. Now, it's interesting because the last episode we saw, he went on a date with Mary Jane. Obviously, he answered the door. So he doesn't even mention that. Doesn't he talk about how well it went? He just simply is now more interested in Felicia Hardy. So maybe he's playing both sides where he's thinking, I've got Mary Jane if I need, because I know he obviously comes back to that. But for the first few episodes, he's completely in love with Felicia Hardy, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And he does state that it's technically not a date. He's her physics tutor to the science exhibit, so he's kind of he's chaperoning her, but I guess he's reading between the lines. And he mentions the whole Spider Slayer business, which is kind of cool. And then we see him changing into his Peter Parker clothes as he goes up to a large gated driveway, and he enters Felicia's manor grounds and gets picked up by a guy in a golf cart. And I thought that was hilarious. Like, he just rolls up, rings the bell, comes out on this massive estate, this massive manor estate, and he immediately is picked up by a dude in a golf cart. Like, imagine that being your job.
I was like, man, that's something to aspire for. I want to be so rich one day that people have to pick people up in golf carts to get to my front door.
Yeah. How did you get here? Was it by golf cart? Well, yes, it was. Oh, jolly good. I'm glad he's doing his job. So we've got, once he arrives, he's dropped off at the entrance, he knocks on the door, and who answers? But it's straight up Alfred Pennyworth.
Alfred bloody Pennyworth answers that fucking door.
Yeah, I almost expected him to be like, Master Wayne is waiting for you. I do come in.
Yeah, it was, and it's so funny now because I forgot that you told me that Doctor Octopus and Alfred are the same voice, so that's interesting because I was like, what the fuck is Alfred doing in this shit?
It's amazing that he's tricked you that well. I suppose he's a good voice actor if he could literally...
I don't hear any similarities in tone or anything.
I totally do with Doctor Octopus. I can hear...
Well, I have to go back... Now that I know, I have to go and listen to it.
Yeah, it's the way that Doc Ock pauses and then rises his words in between sentences, where he's just like, oh, you thought that, did you, Parker? And the way he does that, it sounds very Alfred. I mean, obviously that's not a great impression, but still. And then we see a shadow. And then we see over there. And then we see a shadow that looks like a bunch of Twizzlers with a person in between them that kind of runs across the wall. And a clawed tentacle takes out a security camera. A security guard in the surveillance room sees the disturbance, radios the golf cart guy, his only job. So go golf cart cop.
It's not his only job. He's got to drive people back and forth as well.
I guess he's
got a lot to bloody do.
It's like, I don't get paid enough for this. I would so.
Why does he speak like an old farmer? When I'm not working on the farm, I like to work on the Hardy estate, driving people to and fro.
I also want to see a television series which is just golf cart cop. I think golf cart cop would be awesome. Just to be like, golf cart cop is on the case, and he's got like aviators.
And everyone's just like, you're not a cop.
Yeah, and he drives at like 8 miles per hour because that's as fast as the golf cart goes. He's like, punch it, and it's just like, that'd be great.
I think that would be it for the show. I don't think you could do much more than just that. Thanks, everybody. It's been a great season. Been a great ride.
So Peter is obviously amazed at the sight of Felicia's house, and he almost knocks over a plant as he talks about the Jets having a scrimmage in the hall. That's how big it is.
I was like, did he do that tumble on purpose? Like, because Spider-Man wouldn't just tumble like that, like with the Spidey sense. I was like, did he do it on purpose to keep up?
Would the Spidey sense go off over knocking over a plant?
Well, if you're about to back into something that you did not plan to back into, I think your Spidey sense would go off.
I don't think so. I don't think it's like a threat to his life.
I don't think it's just threats to his life. There's threats to other people's lives as well. He gets spider sense.
Is that true, though? Is it? I thought it was only his life, and if people are around him, they're also caught in the crossfire of that.
I thought there's sometimes where he's like, "Oh, Mary Jane's over there. Spider sense."
That was the most lamest. Oh, Mary Jane's over there. Do it's like someone that's just bored with the relationship. He's like, "Oh, Mary Jane's over there. Do oh, spider sense. I guess I'm gonna."
I'm inking right now. I can't do all the best sound effects.
So Spider-Man, he mentions the Jets. Does that mean that he's a Jets fan and not a Giants fan?
Well, they're both New York.
I know, and that's why I was interested to see that they chose. He said this hall is so big that the Jets can have a scrimmage in here, which means he must be a Jets fan.
Yeah, or he's just quoting a local team. I don't know if they've ever established Spider-Man as a sports fan. He's not really that type of person.
No, I suppose he isn't.
He's not like, when I'm not developing new web fluid, I'm there with my chest painted one color and my face painted another, rooting for the J to the E to the T to the S. Fuck the Giants. Let's go Spidey.
So outside, a security guard is then taken out by the same robotic tentacles. Felicia comes down the stairs to see Peter, and she thinks that Peter has brought her flowers as he grabbed them after he almost knocked it over.
This was dumb. Like, do you think she knew? Because she's like, "Oh, you brought me flowers. I'm just going to put them back in this massive pot of the same bloody flowers."
Yeah, she definitely knew. And then suddenly Peter Parker becomes like fucking James Bond. Like his flirt game.
What, are you talking about his little swag line where he's like, "It's cold out there. I can keep you warm." I was like, "Oh, all right, Peter."
Yeah, so Peter asks where Felicia's mum is, which, first of all, why do you want to know? That's a really weird
She's
thing.
a MILF.
Yeah. Where's your MILF, love? Way better. So he asks her where the mum is, and Felicia says, out buying a new yacht, and Peter replies, what happened? The old one get wet?
That actually made me laugh out loud, and I don't know why. That joke, I didn't see it coming. Like, what happened to the last one to get wet? And I was like, because it's in the water.
I was wondering if he was trying to like find some double meaning there, but failed miserably as well. And then Felicia asks if they should take the convertible, and Peter says, it's kind of chilly out, but I'll keep you warm. And you're like, oh, mate, you just set yourself up for your own joke. She didn't even say, well, it's kind of cold out. And then he said, but I'll keep you warm. He literally said, it's kind of chilly out, just so he can finish with, but I'll keep you warm. And it was kind of creepy.
Yeah, well, Peter Parker's creep.
So Felicia says she'll get her jacket, which is a total like, no, I'm good. You don't touch me. You're gross. And as Peter waits for her downstairs, he hears her screaming. So he runs up into Felicia's room, and there, silhouetted in the moon, is our first look at Doctor Octopus. And he's got Felicia.
Fully jacked up, ripped, no 0% body fat, less than... Yeah, like he has 2%, where Kingpin has 3. Like he is not fat at all.
I really hate to interrupt a megalomaniac when he's on a roll, but here's Web in Your Eye.